My wife told me her ex made her feel alive, while I just made her feel safe. So I told her to go be his problem again. She left that same night. 2 weeks later, she's calling nonstop, begging to come back. But I found out what she really wants, and it's not me. My name is Gilbert Drake. I'm 43 years old, and I thought I had it all figured out. A decent job as head mechanic at one of the largest dealerships in Ohio, a nice house in the suburbs, and a family I'd have done anything for. My son Owen, 8 years old, still looked at me like I hung the moon. That alone made everything worth it. Until that Thursday evening in March. I just got home from a brutal shift. Some genius had driven his Lexus through a flooded intersection, and we'd spent all day tearing apart the engine. My back ached, my hands were raw despite the gloves, and all I wanted was a hot shower and maybe some leftover pizza. Camila was in the kitchen, but she wasn't cooking. She was standing by the window, staring out at nothing, twirling a glass of wine between her fingers. The bottle on the counter was already half empty, and it was barely 6 o'clock. Long day, I asked, dropping my keys on the counter. She didn't turn around. Gabriel called today. My stomach tightened. Gabriel Knowles. Her ex-boyfriend from college. The guy she'd dated before we met. The one who'd supposedly broken her heart so badly, she swore she'd never speak to him again. Okay, I said slowly. What did he want? She finally turned to face me, and there was something in her eyes I'd never seen before. Not anger, not sadness. Something worse. Certainty. He's back in town. Open a bar downtown. He wants to meet up, catch up on old times. I felt something shift in my chest. And you're telling me this because I'm going to see him. She said it flatly, like she was announcing she was going to the grocery store. Tomorrow night. I stood there, work boots still on, grease still under my fingernails, try to process what I was hearing. Camila, what are you talking about? She set down her wine glass with a sharp click. When I'm with you, Gil, I feel safe. Comfortable. But with Gabriel, I felt alive. Do you understand? Alive. That word hit me like a sledgehammer. Alive. As if 12 years of marriage, of building a life together, of raising our son, was just existing in some kind of emotional coma. So what are you saying? My voice came out harder than I intended. You want to feel alive again with your ex-boyfriend? I'm saying I need to figure some things out, Camila replied, picking up her wine glass again. I'm 40 years old, Gil. I can't just sleepwalk for the rest of my life. That's when something in me snapped. Not in an explosive way, but like a bridge cable finally giving out after years of stress. Then go, I said quietly. If Gabriel makes you feel so alive, go be his problem again. Her eyes widened. She clearly didn't expect that response. Gil, I'm not saying I'm leaving. I just need. I heard what you said. I walked past her toward the hallway. Owen's upstairs doing homework. I'm going to take a shower. When I'm done, I expect you'll have figured out whether you're staying or going. I didn't wait for her response. The shower didn't help. I stood under the scalding water for 20 minutes, trying to wash away the conversation. But Camila's words kept echoing in my head. I felt alive, as if everything I'd done for 12 years, working doubles to pay for the house, coaching Owen's little league team, fixing her car every time it made a weird noise. All of that was just white noise in the background of her real life. When I came out, the house was quiet. Too quiet. I walked down the hallway to Owen's room. He was at his desk, pencil in hand, working on his math homework. He looked up when I knocked on the doorframe. Hey, Dad. Mom said she's going out for a while. My chest tightened. She say where? Owen shrugged, already back to his multiplication tables. She had a suitcase. Said she's staying at Aunt Rachel's for a few days. Is everything okay? I forced a smile. The kind you give your kid when you're trying not to let him see your world crumbling. Yeah, buddy. Everything's fine. Your mom just needs some time to visit family. He nodded, not really buying it, but not old enough to push. I ruffled his hair and closed his door, then walked downstairs to check. Sure enough, half her closet was empty. The suitcase she used for weekend trips was gone. Her laptop charger, her favorite coffee mug, the book she'd been pretending to read for 3 months, all gone. But here's the thing that got me. She'd left her wedding ring on the bathroom counter. Not in a dish, not in a jewelry box, just sitting there on the cold marble, like she'd taken it off while washing her hands and forgotten about it. Except I knew Camila never forgot anything. I picked it up, felt the weight of it. $1,300 I'd saved for 6 months to buy. We'd gotten married at a small chapel outside Cincinnati. Nothing fancy, just family and close friends. She'd cried when I slid this ring on her finger. Told me it was the happiest day of her life. I wondered if she remembered that now. My phone buzzed. A text from Rachel, Camila's sister. Just FYI, Camila's not here. Don't know where she is, but she didn't call me. You guys okay? So she'd lied to Owen. And she'd lied to me about where she was going. I opened the Find My Phone app, something we'd set up years ago after Camila lost her phone at a concert. Her location was turned on. I watched the little blue dot sitting stationary on the screen. The rusty anchor. Gabriel's bar. Downtown, near the river. She hadn't even waited a day. She packed a bag, lied to our son, and driven straight to him. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at that blue dot, feeling something inside me go cold. The phone buzzed again. This time it was her. We need to talk. This isn't what you think. Please don't shut me out. I turned the phone face down and didn't reply. That night, I made Owen dinner, spaghetti, his favorite, and we watched a basketball game together. He didn't ask about his mom again, but I could see the questions forming behind his eyes. 8 years old, and already learning that sometimes the people you trust most are the ones who hurt you worst. After he went to bed, I sat in the dark living room, Camila's wedding ring still in my pocket, and waited for the anger to come. But it didn't. Instead, I just felt tired. And that's when my phone started ringing. Over and over. All night long. 3 days passed. 3 days of Camila's calls going straight to voicemail, her texts piling up unread. I blocked her number on the second day. Not out of spite, but because I needed to think clearly, and every buzz on my phone was like a hook pulling me back into her chaos. Work was my refuge. The dealership was busy. Spring meant people trading in their winter beaters for something reliable. I threw myself into it. Rebuilt a transmission on a Ford F-150, diagnosed a tricky electrical issue on a BMW, trained 2 new guys on proper lift procedures. My hands stayed busy, and when your hands are busy, your mind has less time to wander. Owen was asking questions now. When's Mom coming home? Did you and Mom have a fight? Is Mom mad at us? Each one felt like a knife. I kept my answers simple. She needs some time. We'll figure it out. No, buddy, she's not mad at you. On Thursday morning, I got a call from my Uncle Dennis in Michigan. Hadn't heard from him in almost 2 years. He was my dad's older brother, never married, spent his whole life working as an engineer for an automotive parts manufacturer. Good man. Quiet. Kept to himself. Gil, it's Dennis. Got some news, and I wanted you to hear it from me first. His voice sounded older than I remembered. I'm sick. Pancreatic cancer. Stage 4. Doctors are saying maybe 3 months, maybe less. The workshop suddenly felt too small. Uncle Dennis, I'm so sorry. Is there anything I can do? Actually, there is. I'm putting my affairs in order, and I'm leaving you something in my will. About $60,000. It's not a fortune, but it's what I've saved. Figured you could use it more than anyone else. 60,000. The number hung in the air. That was enough to pay off the second mortgage. Maybe put some away for Owen's college fund. I don't know what to say. Thank you doesn't seem like enough. Don't thank me yet. Just promise me you'll use it smart. Take care of that boy of yours. And Gil, don't let people take advantage of your good nature. You've got too much of your father in you, always putting others first. Sometimes you got to put yourself first. We talked for another 20 minutes about his treatment options, about memories of my dad, about life. When I hung up, I sat in my office for a long time, staring at nothing. That afternoon, an envelope arrived at the dealership, hand-delivered by a courier. No return address. Inside was a single photograph, and when I pulled it out, my stomach dropped. Camila and Gabriel, sitting in a booth at his bar, his arm around her shoulders. She was laughing, head thrown back, completely at ease. The photo was taken from across the room, zoomed in, but clear enough. Timestamp in the corner. 11:47 p.m., 3 nights ago. The same night she'd left. There was no note, no explanation. Just a photo. Someone wanted me to see this. Someone wanted me to know exactly what my wife was doing while I was home putting our son to bed and fielding her desperate text messages. I called the courier service. They had no record of who sent it, just that it was paid in cash and marked for same-day delivery. That night, I did something I've been avoiding. I unblocked Camila's number and called her. She picked up on the first ring. Gil, thank God. I've been trying to reach you for days. Please, we need to talk about this. I made a mistake. I got a photo today. I said, cutting her off. You and Gabriel. Looking real comfortable. Silence. Then, who sent you that? Does it matter? Gil, it's not what it looks like. I want to talk to him, to tell him this was a mistake, that I wanted to come home. At midnight, with his arm around you. My voice was steady cold. Don't insult my intelligence. Please, just let me explain. I can come home right now. We can work through this. Stay where you are, I said. I'll let you know when I'm ready to talk. On my terms. I hung up before she could respond. Friday morning, I took Owen to school early and drove straight to a law office downtown. Attorney named Richard Paulson came highly recommended by one of the guys at work who'd been through a divorce. Paulson was in his 50s, gray hair, sharp suit, and the kind of handshake that told you he'd seen every variation of human mess and nothing surprised him anymore. Tell me everything, he said, pulling out a legal pad. I laid it out. The conversation about Gabriel, her leaving that same night, the lies about where she was staying, the photo, the wedding ring left behind like trash. When I finished, Paulson leaned back in his chair. Here's the reality, Gilbert. Ohio's a no-fault divorce state, so her affair doesn't technically matter for the divorce itself, but it absolutely matters for custody and asset division, especially if we can prove she abandoned the marital home and your son. What do you need from me? Everything. Bank statements, phone records if you can get them, that photo someone sent you. Document every interaction. If she reaches out, keep it civil but minimal. Don't give her ammunition to claim you're unstable or aggressive. He paused. I also need to ask, is there any chance your son isn't biologically yours? The question hit me like a physical blow. Owen, no, absolutely not. He looks just like me. Same eyes, same stubborn chin. I believe you. But if this gets ugly, and it might, your wife's attorney could use that angle. They could suggest paternity doubt to reduce your custody claim or child support obligations. Have you ever had a DNA test? No, never had a reason to. Paulson wrote something down. I'd recommend getting one. Quietly. Not because I doubt you, but because eliminating that possibility protects you legally. Better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. The thought made me sick. 8 years of being Owen's father, and now I had to prove it with a lab test? But Paulson was right. If Camila wanted to play dirty, I needed to be ready. One more thing, I said. My uncle's leaving me about $60,000 in his will. He's terminally ill. If Camila finds out, can she claim half? When is he passing it to you? Probably within the next few months. If you receive it before the divorce is finalized, yes, she can claim it's marital property. If it comes after, it's yours alone. We need to move fast on filing. He looked at me directly. Are you ready to do this? Once we file, there's no going back to how things were. I thought about Camila laughing in that photo, about the wedding ring discarded on the counter, about Owen asking when his mom was coming home. File the papers. That afternoon, I ordered a DNA test kit online. Discreet, at home, results in 5 days. I hated myself for doing it, but I hated the uncertainty more. When I picked up Owen from school, I watched him climb into the truck, chattering about his day, completely oblivious to the war being waged around him. He had my nose, my ears, the same cowlick that made his hair stick up in the back no matter how much gel I used. He was mine. I knew in my bones. But now I had to prove it on paper. That night, Camila called again. I let it ring. She left a voicemail. Gil, I heard from Rachel that you want to see a lawyer. Please don't do this. We can fix this. I love you. I love Owen. This whole thing with Gabriel was just me being stupid and scared. Please call me back. Rachel. My sister-in-law had a big mouth. I made a mental note to keep information tighter going forward. I deleted the voicemail and went to bed. Tomorrow, I'd collect the DNA sample. Tomorrow, I'd start fighting for what was mine. The DNA results came back on Tuesday. I opened the email in my truck during lunch break, hands shaking despite knowing what it would say. Probability of paternity, 99.99%. Owen was mine. Always had been, always would be. I forwarded the results to Paulson immediately. One less weapon Camila could use against me. That same afternoon, something strange happened. Camila's calls stopped. Not gradually, abruptly. After a week of constant messages, voicemails, and texts, suddenly nothing. Radio silence. At first, I thought maybe she'd finally gotten a message. Maybe she'd accepted that we were done and moved on. But something fell off. I checked to find my phone app out of habit. Her location was turned off. She disabled it. Thursday evening, I got a call from Gabriel. His number popped up on my screen, and for a second, I almost didn't answer. But curiosity got the better of me. Yeah, I said, keeping my voice neutral. Drake, it's Gabriel. Listen, I think we need to talk. It's about Camila. I've got nothing to say to you. Just hear me out. She's gone. Left my place 3 days ago, and I haven't heard from her since. Took some of my stuff too. About $2,000 from my office safe. My laptop. Some jewelry that belonged to my mother. I pulled over to the side of the road. What are you saying? I'm saying your wife played both of us. She came to me saying she needed a place to stay, that you kicked her out. I let her crash at my apartment above the bar. She was sweet, apologetic, said she'd made a mistake marrying you, that I was the one she should have been with all along. His voice had an edge to it now, anger creeping in. Then she started asking questions. How much money did the bar make? Did I have savings? Was I planning to sell the place? I thought she was just interested in my life. Turns out she was casing the joint. So call the cops, I said. I did. They said it's a civil matter since we were in a relationship. But here's the thing, Drake. She mentioned you've got money coming from your uncle. Said it was a lot. She was planning to come back to you, play the devoted wife, and cash in when the inheritance hit. My blood ran cold. How did she know about that? She went through your emails. Had your password saved on her phone. Saw the whole conversation with your uncle. I closed my eyes. Of course she did. The home computer, the shared accounts, the passwords we'd been using for years. She had access to everything. Where is she now? I asked. No clue. She's not answering my calls either. But I figured I owed you a heads up. She's not the woman we thought she was. She's calculating. And she's dangerous. After Gabriel hung up, I sat in my truck for 20 minutes, trying to process it. Camila hadn't left because she wanted Gabriel. She'd left to manipulate both of us, to see which situation would benefit her more. And when Gabriel didn't have enough money, when she realized I was the real prize, she planned to come crawling back. I called Paulson immediately. We need to freeze all joint accounts. Now, what happened? I told him everything. The theft from Gabriel. The emails about my uncle. Her sudden disappearance. I'll file an emergency motion first thing tomorrow, Paulson said. But Gilbert, you need to check your accounts right now. All of them. I pulled up our bank app while still on the phone. Our joint savings account, the one we'd built over 12 years, was empty. $42,000. Gone. Transferred out yesterday to an account I didn't recognize. She cleaned us out. I said, voice hollow. Document everything. Screenshots, transaction history, all of it. This just became theft. Friday morning, I woke up to find Owen's bed empty. The panic was immediate, primal. I checked the bathroom, the kitchen, the backyard. Nothing. His shoes were gone, his jacket, his backpack. On his desk was a note, written in his 8-year-old handwriting. Gonna find Mom. She needs us. Love, Owen. My heart stopped. I grabbed my phone and called his cell, the basic kid's phone we'd gotten him for emergencies. It rang 4 times, then went to voicemail. I called the school. He wasn't there. I called Camila's sister Rachel. She hadn't seen him. I was about to call the police when my phone buzzed. Text from Owen's number. Dad, I'm okay. I'm at the bus station. I have money from my piggy bank. I'm gonna find Mom and bring her home. Don't be mad. The bus station. Downtown, 15 miles away. An 8-year-old kid with maybe $20 trying to board a bus to God knows where. I was in the truck and driving before I'd even processed it. Called 911 on the way. Explained the situation. They said they'd send an officer to the station. I got there in 12 minutes. Probably broke every speed limit in Ohio. I found him sitting on a bench near the ticket counter, backpack at his feet, looking smaller than I'd ever seen him. When he saw me, his face crumpled. Dad, I'm sorry. I just wanted to help. I thought if I found Mom, I could tell her we miss her and she'd come home. I knelt down in front of him, pulled him into a hug, so tight I was afraid I'd hurt him. Don't ever do that again. You scare me half to death. Is Mom ever coming back? He asked into my shoulder. And that's when I realized I couldn't keep lying to him. He was 8, but he wasn't stupid. He deserved some version of the truth. I don't know, buddy. But what I do know is that you and me, we're solid. No matter what happens with your mom, you've got me. Always. The police officer arrived, took a statement, gave Owen a gentle talking to about safety. We drove home in silence. I kept glancing over at him, This little person who loved his mother so much he'd try to save our family all by himself. That evening, after Owen was asleep, I got another call, this time from a number I didn't recognize. I answered cautiously. Mr. Drake? This is Officer Linda Torres with the Cincinnati Police Department. We've located your wife. My stomach tightened. Where is she? She's at University Hospital. She was brought in this afternoon following a car accident on I-75. Her vehicle was T-boned by a semi-truck at an intersection. She's alive, but she's in serious condition. I sat down hard. How serious? Multiple fractures, internal injuries. She's stable but sedated. The doctors say she's lucky to be alive. We found her ID in the wreckage and called you because you're listed as her emergency contact. I'll be there in 30 minutes. I called Rachel, asked her to come stay with Owen. She arrived within 15 minutes. No questions asked. I drove to the hospital, mind racing. Part of me was angry. Angry that she'd put us through this, stolen our money, manipulated everyone around her. But another part, the part that remembered 12 years of marriage, felt something I didn't want to feel. Concern. When I got to her room, the sight stopped me cold. Camila was barely recognizable. Face swollen, bandages everywhere, machines beeping, tubes running from her arms. Her right leg was in a cast, elevated. Her left arm, immobilized. A doctor approached me in the hallway. Mr. Drake? I'm Dr. Patel. Your wife's injuries are extensive. We had to perform emergency surgery to stop internal bleeding. She's stable now, but the next 48 hours are critical. Will she recover? She'll live, but she's going to need months of physical therapy. The leg fracture was severe. She may have permanent mobility issues, and there's some concern about nerve damage in her left hand. I looked through the window at her broken body and felt nothing but emptiness. This was supposed to be the woman I'd spend my life with. Now she was a stranger wrapped in bandages. I'll be in touch, I told the doctor, and walked out of the hospital into the cold night air. Camila spent 3 weeks in the hospital. During that time, I visited twice, once to sign papers the hospital needed, and once because Owen begged me to take him to see his mother. That second visit broke my heart more than anything else in this whole mess. Owen walked into that hospital room with flowers he'd picked from our backyard, clutched in his small hands. When he saw his mother, face still bruised, legs suspended in traction, he started crying. Not loud, dramatic sobs, but quiet tears that just ran down his face. Mom, I'm sorry, he whispered. I tried to find you. I wanted to bring you home. Camila, to her credit, cried too. Baby, this isn't your fault. None of this is your fault. I stood in the doorway, watching this scene, feeling absolutely nothing. The woman in that bed was a stranger. The mother of my child, yes, but not my wife. Not anymore. The hospital released her into the care of her sister Rachel, who lived 2 towns over. I made it clear to the discharge nurse. I was not taking her home. I was not responsible for her care. Rachel could handle it, or they could find a rehabilitation facility. 2 days after Camila's release, Uncle Dennis passed away. The funeral was small, family only, up in Michigan. I took Owen with me. We drove 9 hours, spent 2 days dealing with arrangements and relatives, and drove back. The will was read the following week. $60,000, just like Dennis had promised. But there was a catch. It came with a letter, handwritten, addressed to me. Gilbert, if you're reading this, I'm gone. Use this money wisely. Don't let people take advantage of your good heart. Your father was the same way, always putting others first. It got him walked over more times than I can count. You got a son who needs you to be strong, not soft. Be the man he needs, not the man everyone else wants you to be. Dennis. I folded the letter and put it in my wallet. The following Saturday was Owen's Little League game. I've been coaching his team for 2 years. It was one of the few things that felt normal in the chaos of the divorce. The game was at the community park, bleachers packed with parents. Rachel brought Camila in a wheelchair. I saw them arrive from the dugout and felt my jaw tighten. She had no right to be here, but I wasn't going to make a scene in front of Owen. The game went well. We won 8-3, and Owen hit a double in the 4th inning. After the game, as I was packing up equipment, Camila wheeled herself over to me. Rachel stayed by the bleachers, giving us space. Gil, can we talk? Please. I looked at her. The bruises had faded to yellow and green. Her leg was still in a cast, her left hand in a brace. She looked fragile, broken. And maybe that would have worked on me a month ago. Talk about what, Camila? About us. About fixing this. I made mistakes. Terrible mistakes. But we can work through this. For Owen's sake. Several parents had stopped packing up their own gear, pretending not to listen, but clearly tuned in. I could feel their attention. You emptied our savings account, I said, loud enough that people nearby could hear. $42,000. Gone. You stole from Gabriel. You lied to our son about where you were going. You spent weeks planning to take my uncle's inheritance and leave. So no, Camila, we're not working through anything. Her face went pale. Gil, please, not here. You brought yourself here. You wheeled yourself over to me at our son's baseball game thinking what? That I'd feel sorry for you? That seeing you in a wheelchair would make me forget everything you did? I picked up the equipment bag. My lawyer will be in touch about custody arrangements. Until then, if you want to see Owen, it goes through Rachel. You don't call me. You don't show up at my house. We're done. I walked away. Behind me, I heard Camila crying. I heard Rachel's voice trying to comfort her. I heard the whispers of other parents. And I felt nothing but relief. 3 days after the baseball game incident, Gabriel called me again. This time, his voice was different. Scared. Drake, you need to hear this. I think Camila's planning something. I was at the dealership, elbow deep in an engine rebuild, but something in his tone made me step outside. What are you talking about? She called me yesterday from Rachel's house. Started crying, saying how sorry she was, how the accident made her realize what really mattered. She wanted to meet up, said she had something important to tell me. And you believed her? Hell no. I recorded the call. Gil, she basically admitted she's going after your inheritance. Said if she can reconcile with you before your uncle's estate settles, she can claim half of it in the divorce. She wants me to help her, wants me to pretend we had a falling out so she can come back to you looking like the repentant wife. Send me the recording. Already did. Check your email. I pulled on my phone. There it was. A 14-minute audio file. I listened to the whole thing right there in the dealership parking lot. And with every word, my resolve hardened. Camila's voice, clear as day. If I can convince Gil to take me back before that money hits his account, I'm entitled to half. My lawyer said so. The injury actually helps. He feels guilty. I can work that angle. Once the money's secure, I can leave again. Take my half. Start over somewhere new. Gabriel's voice. What about Owen? Camila, I'll get partial custody. Enough to keep Gil from getting suspicious. But honestly, Gil's better with him anyway. I'm not cut out for the full-time mom thing. I forwarded the recording to Paulson immediately with a simple message. You need to hear this. He called me back within an hour. This changes everything. This is proof of fraud, manipulation, and intent to deceive the court. We can use this to protect your inheritance and secure full custody. What do? We set a trap. I need you to meet with Camila. Tell her you're willing to talk about reconciliation. We're a wire. Get her to admit her plan on record, in person. Then we present everything to the judge. The idea made my skin itch, but I understood the strategy. Set up. 2 days later, I texted Camila. We need to talk. Face to face. Not about reconciliation, but about Owen. He's struggling. Her response was immediate. Yes. Please. When? Tomorrow. The coffee shop on 5th Street. Noon. That morning, Paulson fitted me with a small recording device, about the size of a shirt button, clipped inside my jacket. Just have a normal conversation. Let her talk. Don't lead her. Don't accuse. Just listen and respond naturally. I walked into the coffee shop at 11:55. Camila was already there, wheelchair parked beside a corner table. She put on makeup, done her hair. She looked almost like her old self, except for the cast and the pain that flashed across her face when she shifted position. Gil, thank you for coming. She reached out like she wanted to touch my hand. I didn't take it. This is about Owen, Camila, not us. I know, but maybe we can talk about us too. I've had a lot of time to think. About what I threw away. About how good we were together. I sat down, kept my face neutral. Were we good together? Because from where I'm sitting, you spent 3 months planning to leave me for your ex-boyfriend. That was a mistake. The biggest mistake of my life. The accident. It woke me up, Gil. I realized what matters. You, Owen, our family. I want to come home. Your timing's interesting. My uncle's estate settles next month. She hesitated, just a fraction of a second. This has nothing to do with money, doesn't it? Because if we reconcile before the inheritance comes through, you'd be entitled to half in the divorce. Seems like convenient timing. Her expression shifted. Caught. Gil, that's not. Save it. I stood up. I know about your call with Gabriel. I know about your plan. I know everything. I walked out, leaving her sitting there, face white with shock. The recording was perfect. The divorce hearing was scheduled for a Thursday morning in early September. I walked into that courtroom with Paulson beside me, carrying a folder thick with evidence. Bank statements showing the $42,000 theft, the recording of Camila's conversation with Gabriel, the DNA test proving Owen was mine, hospital records from her accident, and witness statement from the baseball game confrontation. Camila sat on the other side with her attorney, a sharp-dressed woman named Patricia Hoffman, who had a reputation for getting favorable settlements. Camila was still using a cane, though she could walk short distances now. She wore a conservative dress, minimal makeup, looked every bit the injured, repentant wife. Judge Morrison, a stern woman in her 60s with zero patience for nonsense, reviewed the initial filings, then looked up over her reading glasses. This is a dissolution of marriage with contested custody and asset division. Mrs. Hoffman, your client is seeking 50% of marital assets, including a pending inheritance, plus primary custody of the minor child. Mr. Paulson, your client contests both claims. Let's hear opening statements. Hoffman stood. Your Honor, my client made mistakes. She acknowledges that. But those mistakes don't negate 12 years of marriage or her rights as a mother. The accident was a wake-up call. She's committed to rehabilitation, both physical and personal. She deserves a fair division of assets and meaningful time with her son. Paulson stood next. Your Honor, Mrs. Drake didn't just make mistakes. She engaged in systematic fraud, theft, and manipulation. We have evidence that she stole $42,000 from joint accounts, planned to defraud my client of his inheritance, and has shown complete disregard for her son's well-being. This isn't about mistakes. This is about a pattern of calculated deception. The judge nodded. Present your evidence. For the next 2 hours, Paulson laid it out. The bank statements, Gabriel's testimony about the theft, and the recorded phone call. The hospital social worker's report noting that Owen showed signs of emotional distress. My testimony about finding her wedding ring abandoned, about the lies, about her disappearance. Then came the recording from the coffee shop. The courtroom was silent as Camila's voice filled the space. Once the money's secure, I can leave again. Take my half. Start over somewhere new. I watched Camila's face go pale. Hoffman shuffled papers, clearly blindsided. Judge Morrison's expression hardened. Mrs. Drake, did you knowingly plan to reconcile with your husband solely to access his inheritance? Camila's voice was barely a whisper. I was confused. The pain medication. That's not what I asked. Yes or no? Long pause. Then, yes. The judge made a note. Proceed, Mr. Paulson. Paulson presented Owen's statement to the child psychologist we'd hired. How Owen had run away trying to find his mother. How he had nightmares. How he told the therapist he felt like it was his fault his parents were splitting up. By the time we finished, it was past noon. Judge Morrison called a 30-minute recess, then returned with her decision. I've reviewed all evidence and testimony. Mr. Drake will receive primary physical custody of the minor child. Mrs. Drake will have supervised visitation every other weekend, pending completion of family therapy. As for assets, the inheritance from Mr. Drake's uncle is classified as separate property received after the date of separation and is not subject to division. The $42,000 taken from joint accounts must be repaid in full within 12 months, or Mrs. Drake faces criminal charges for theft. The marital home goes to Mr. Drake. Mrs. Drake will receive 15% of the remaining marital assets after debts are settled. 15%, out of what little was left after she'd stolen our savings. That amounted to maybe $8,000. This court is adjourned. I walked out of that courtroom, a free man. Camila sat at her table, crying in her hands while Hoffman packed up her briefcase with tight, angry movements. I didn't look back. 8 months later, life looked completely different. Owen and I had settled into a rhythm. I cut back my hours at the dealership, promoted one of my senior mechanics to assistant manager, so I could be home for dinner every night. We did homework together, watched basketball games, went fishing on weekends. His nightmares stopped after 3 months of therapy. He smiled more, laughed more. Camila saw him every other Saturday at a supervised visitation center. The first few visits were awkward, forced. But gradually, Owen relaxed around her. They'd never have the relationship they once did, but at least he had a mother in his life, even if it was limited. She never repaid the $42,000. Couldn't. She was working part-time as a receptionist, still doing physical therapy twice a week, living in a small apartment her sister helped her afford. Paulson said we could pursue criminal charges, but I decided against it. I had Owen. I had my freedom. That was enough. Uncle Dennis's inheritance came through in October. $60,000, just like he promised. I put $40,000 into a college fund for Owen, used $10,000 to pay off the second mortgage, and kept the rest for emergencies. Gabriel closed his bar 6 months after the divorce finalized. Turned out the place was hemorrhaging money, and without Camila's stolen cash to prop it up, he couldn't keep the doors open. I heard through mutual acquaintances he moved to Florida. Good riddance. One Saturday in April, Owen and I were at the park where his Little League team practiced. He was playing catch with some teammates while I sat on the bleachers, watching. A woman approached, mid-30s, athletic build, kind smile. Her son was on Owen's team. You're Owen's dad, right? I'm Sarah. My son Tyler talks about Owen all the time. Says he's the best hitter on the team. Owen works hard at it. Tyler's got a good arm. I've seen him pitch. We talked for a few minutes. Easy, comfortable conversation about kids and baseball, and nothing consequential. When she left, Owen ran over. Dad, was that Tyler's mom? Yeah, buddy. She's nice. Tyler said his parents are divorced too. I looked at my son. 9 years old now. Taller than he'd been a year ago, stronger. How do you feel about that? The divorce. He thought about it. I'm sad sometimes. I miss when Mom lived with us. But, he paused. You're happier now, Dad. You don't look worried all the time anymore. And that makes me feel better. Kids see more than we think they do. I am happier, I admitted. And you know what? We're going to be okay. Better than okay. He grinned. Can we get pizza for dinner? Absolutely. That evening, after Owen went to bed, I sat on the back porch with a beer, looking at the stars. I thought about the man I'd been a year ago, desperate to hold together a marriage that was already dead, walking on eggshells, making myself small to accommodate someone else's chaos. I wasn't that man anymore. I'd been tested by betrayal, by theft, by manipulation, and I'd come through it not broken, but stronger. I'd protected my son. I'd stood up for myself. I'd refused to be a doormat. Uncle Dennis's letter was still in my wallet. I pulled it out, read it again under the porch light. Be the man he needs, not the man everyone else wants you to be. I'd done that, and I'd keep doing it. The future stretched out ahead. Uncertain, yes, but mine. Owen's a mine, and that was more than enough.